external affairs and foreign policy issues. We agreed as a European Union to express full solidarity with the United Kingdom, to agree with their assessment as to who was behind the Salisbury attack, and also to recall the EU ambassador to Russia to Brussels for consultations, and individual countries will decide in the coming days as to whether they want to take additional actions. Also agreed to express support for Greece and Cyprus when it comes to the issues they're having currently with Turkey, and had a discussion obviously on trade. And we very much welcome the deferral of tariffs on steel and aluminium that were proposed to be imposed by the United States on Europe, and we'll see certainly how that develops in the time ahead. Also, one change was made to the conclusions yesterday, which I think is of significance. A change was made on the Digital Europe section to bring forward proposals to complete the digital single market, which is something that I think is very much of benefit to Ireland. We've a very strong tech and digital presence in Ireland, and bringing forward the digital single market is very much to our benefit. So today is going to be mainly about Article 50 discussions and also a Euro summit involving only heads of state and government in the Eurozone, working out how we can perhaps reform, deepen and improve European monetary union.
Taoiseach, can I ask you if, given that Ireland signed up to the statement on Russia last night, does this represent a shift in the Irish government's position, given that Ireland was reluctant to explicitly blame Russia for the attack? And will Ireland be taking any measures against Russian diplomats in consequence of the statement?
Shift, no. The right thing to do is to allow the UK to share their assessment with the heads of state and government. That's one of the things that was done last night. The UK shared their assessment, and obviously other countries who have intelligence agencies as well were able to share their assessment as to what happened in Salisbury. So, the right and proper thing to do in these things is to actually have the discussion and see the assessment, or at least hear the assessment before you make a decision. So it was actually at my proposal and that of President Macron that we changed the conclusions to say that we agreed with the UK position rather than just we're concerned about it. And a proposal was made from others to recall the EU ambassador to Russia for discussions, and that was one that we supported and supported very strongly. What we will now consider in the coming days as to whether we want to take individual action relating to Russian diplomats in Ireland. Bear in mind what the United Kingdom did was to expel 23 diplomats who they believed weren't actually diplomats, were agents, so we would have to do a security assessment just like they did before that. We're not going to randomly expel people who are genuine diplomats, perhaps.
But you will make an assessment, you will make a security assessment on the presence of Russian diplomats, or the activities of Russian diplomats in Ireland?
That's correct. A security assessment will be done. Minister for Foreign Affairs, Taoiseach, and I have already spoken about this in the coming days, so we'll make that decision, I'd say, in the early part of next week.
Are you apportioning blame to Russia officially then? Is Ireland saying that Russia is likely the cause of the attack in Salisbury? And also, can you clarify the details yesterday in relation to the backstop? And do you think that it should be done by June in order for Ireland to maintain maximum leverage?
Yeah, the European Union agreed last night, and Ireland is part of the European Union, and this was on our proposal. We agreed yesterday as a European Union that we agree with the UK's assessment that it's highly likely that Russian authorities were behind the Salisbury attack. So that's our position.
And on the backstop, sorry, just to clarify.
Yeah, the situation in relation to the withdrawal agreement, the withdrawal treaty, is the deadline for that treaty to be done and dusted is October. It has always been October, by the way. Nothing is agreed until everything is agreed. So even though discrete parts within it, such as transition, such as the backstop, such as option A or B or anything else can be agreed, actually nothing is agreed until everything is agreed. So the whole thing is a package. It gets finalised together. The deadline for that is October. As Ireland, we're not under particular time pressure. We're not the ones who are leading. So we're not under time pressure in that regard. But obviously, if we can have agreement on the terms of the backstop or an alternative to the backstop before June, that's something we would very much welcome. And what's significant about the last couple of days is that having rejected the backstop protocol out of hand only a couple of weeks ago, the United Kingdom has now agreed to engage on that text. and we'll be meeting at official level as early as Monday to work on that.
Fianna Fáil's Brexit spokesman said today, Stephen Donnelly said today, that we've lost our leverage in terms of allowing the North to go into the talks to go into phase 2 without any firm commitment on the border in relation to Northern Ireland. And he's saying that it's a loss for the Irish side and the win for the UK. What would you say in response to that?
Yeah, I suppose I'd say three things really. First of all, we do have a firm commitment. The firm commitment is in the joint report that was agreed by the EU and the UK back in December, and that has been reaffirmed by the fact that Theresa May, the Prime Minister, has said so in her letter to President Tusk, and reaffirmed in the fact that they are now willing to engage on the text of the backstop that the EU has put forward. Secondly, I think it's fair to say that the position being put across by Fianna Fáil on this has been very inconsistent. We've had everything from a Fianna Fáil motion at the Ardèche to have a hard border, to put in tolling gantries and so on, to them calling for us to engage in negotiations bilaterally with the UK, calling us not to. So I think there's a degree of just politics there, trying to nitpick and have a go. And also, I think, most importantly, I don't think this should be seen as some sort of conflict between the UK and the United Kingdom. It's not a case of, when they're winning, we're losing, or when they're losing, we're winning. We're not going to get a good outcome for Ireland on that basis. The United Kingdom has decided to leave the European Union. The best way we can get a good outcome for Ireland is to make sure that we have an agreement that keeps the United Kingdom as close to the European Union as possible. And that is the best way to avoid a hard border between Ireland and Northern Ireland, and also the best way to protect the enormous trade that occurs between Britain and Ireland, and that is so important for Irish jobs, our economy, and agriculture in particular.
Okay, thank you very much. Sky News, Taoiseach. Quick question for Sky News, Taoiseach.